Hello, everybody. Welcome to DialogBOX, I think is what I'm going to call it now. This is a brand new show on my channel where we're going to have like a panel type discussion to talk about specific topics. Tonight's topic is E3, the experiences, and more specifically, Nintendo's recent press conference, and talk about all of our opinions on the announcements that we've been kind of bombarded with a little bit. I mean, this is a week after, and we're still hearing more information about, new different types of games. So with me tonight, she is currently completing her Tales of Symphonia Let's Play. In her free time, you can find her curled up in the fetal position in front of her computer. It's Miss Sayanella.
Woo! This is scarily accurate.
So true.
No, it's fine. You just did such a good job of describing me that I didn't think I needed to say anything more. But no, that's basically me. I'm geeks, and I played things at E3. Hello.
Hello. Also with us is the for some reason I wrote down in my notes, coordinator of things, all around swell guy. He's also a contributor to Nintendo Life. On his YouTube channel, you can find his Pokemon Talk series, as well as he contributed to the Sleep Versus a couple weeks ago. So if you can introduce yourself.
All right, I'm Robert Sfazon. It's great to be here. But my first question is, and I'm an interview host, so if you don't mind, I just have one question. Masay, would you like to hear a joke?
Stop!
Why didn't Bowser enjoy New Donk City?
Why
Stop!
not? Why not, Sfazon?
He found their taste of music appalling.
Stop! No! I will hang up this call. I will leave.
So we never got around to asking this question during our interview, Masay, but I actually had a pretty important one.
Oh God.
If you quit Let's Playing, are you going to change your name to Mased?
I'll go get her.
I was about to say, don't give me the pity laugh. It's fine.
I can't. This is too much.
Do you want to hear a joke, Masay?
My cursor is hovering right over that leave call button.
Finally, you've heard his voice already, but he is the, I think I got this right. Please correct me if I'm wrong. You are the webmaster at Zelda Universe, as well as do a couple of Let's Plays. But you mostly spend your free time trolling the ZU Slack and helping Sfazon torment Masay.
That's me. Yeah, I have many titles.
Why am I here?
Well, you're here to be tormented.
Mistakes are made.
Yeah, I have many titles around Zelda Universe. They call me the Chief Operating Officer, the Editor-in-Chief, Chief of Staff, just Chief. The Australian Chief, the Australian from Australia. You know, I've got a lot of names. They call me Dangerous Cody in the biz.
Biz.
He's a speedrunner too. Oh, wait,
Oh yeah, Sfazon's a speedrunner. You should ask him about it sometime.
Oh, anyway, let's continue this discussion.
I was about to say, is your speedrun this call?
We are speedrunning this call right
Yes.
now, which is to say, we're Sfazon speedrunning it. Which is to say, it's going in any direction. It's jumping straight into the lava instead of going forward, which is how Sfazon does all of his speedruns.
We're going right into the fire.
Why am I here?
I think the first thing that we want to talk about, especially in terms of E3, so I didn't go, so I'm going to try and live my experience of E3 vicariously through you three. So let's talk about it for a second. How was your trip? Masay, you can start.
My trip was great. I had a lovely time. Like, it was very exciting because of how many like really big announcements there were. So honestly, going into it, I wasn't expecting too terribly much. So when I actually got there and I saw the show floor, and especially the Nintendo booth itself, it was just so impressive, and I was like, oh my god, this is the best. But of course, hanging out with good crowds was the best part.
Yeah, and getting business cards. Did you get any of those?
I heard you got a few of those from one Cody Davies.
I got one in my pocket.
I'm so
How
sorry.
did that end up there?
So Cody, how was your experience?
Oh, we had fun. Zelda Universe rocked up with like 15 people, even though there were no Zelda announcements this year. That's just how we go. That's just how we roll. And we all stayed in like a big Airbnb house that housed, like 12 of us, and then we all sat there to watch the live stream from the Nintendo announcements together. So that was a lot of fun, because what would happen is that something would pop up on the screen and we'd yell Metroid and it wouldn't be Metroid, and something would pop up on the screen and we'd go Metroid and it wouldn't be Metroid, and then space popped up on the screen.
Star Fox!
And a number 4 appeared. Yeah.
Star Fox 4!
And we all said Star Fox? F-Zero?
Anything, right?
Anything. And it was Metroid, bizarrely enough. And Elias was in shock. He's one of our staff members who also was the founder of Metroid Headquarters. Currently dead because Metroid hasn't had any games in 10 years.
Seth, how was your experience?
Well, it was an experience. As Cody just mentioned, the showing of Metroid. And I should just get the laundry out of the closet. I am a coordinator of another Metroid 2 remake. So Metroid, especially seeing Samus Returns, because that was completely unexpected, struck a nerve with me in a very positive way. And I do want to go ahead and say that as an AM2R dev, per se, I completely support Nintendo in their development of Samus Returns. And I want to push anybody who has any love of the franchise to purchase this game and to just give it a try, regardless if you enjoyed AM2R or not. Everybody on the staff wants everybody to try Samus Returns, so I'll get that out of the way. Aside from that, E3 was very, very enjoyable. I want to go ahead and actually thank Yo Schiller, Tails Channel, and Charles C. Bernardo for their joining me and making a lot of great experiences, and for a few of them actually being their first E3. So I really enjoyed their company as well. But E3 for me is a lot less about the games and more about the people and meeting new people and learning new things about the industry more so than the games themselves, which no doubt, that's a big part of why I'm there. But I just love seeing everybody's reactions to the games and what they think of the games more so than what the games mean. So, but other than that, just a great showing from Nintendo. Also a great showing from Sony. But aside from that, it was a great time.
What games did you guys get to play throughout your E3 experience? And we'll start with Cody.
Alright, well, I played Super Mario Odyssey. In fact, I was in the line together with Massey and Nella. My review of Super Mario Odyssey is that my feet hurt. We got to see, there were 2 different demos. The one I played was the desert demo, but there was also a city demo that focused more on talking to people, whereas the desert demo was more combat. Look, it just looks really good. It has a lot of potential. The soundtrack is amazing, which it had better be, because during that 3.5 hours we were on the show floor, we were listening to the same 3 Mario Odyssey songs.
That great jazz theme too.
But it was great swing music sung by Maya Pauline, so it was good. The star of the show for me in terms of unexpected positive surprises was Mario and Rabbids. I think when everyone heard Mario and Rabbids, they went, "Oh, this is gonna be bad. Why did they let the Rabbids in? Why are they filthying Mario's hands with these dirty minions?" Because Rabbids, of course, are the minions of the video game world. It actually turns out to be it's an XCOM game, which is absolutely not what I was expecting from a Mario game. And it looks really good, so I'm looking forward to that one. You'll probably know it as the one where the producer or director or whatever was crying in the Ubisoft press conference. But yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. Masay, how about you?
I played, well, my experience obviously is pretty much the same with Odyssey. My feet hurt a lot.
Hopefully that'll
But,
get ironed out in the actual release.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be okay by then. But I played the same stage as Cody. I didn't play quite as much of it because, quite frankly, I sucked at the short side-scrolling portion of it, where like Mario sinks into the wall and it goes all retro.
Right.
But I found it really cool how they included that little callback and how you kind of have that short span where you're actually playing essentially like Mario Brothers 1.
Yeah, right.
But even though I sucked royally at it, it was a lot of fun and I enjoyed it. It was interesting. I wish I'd gotten to play more of it, and I was sad because I screwed up really bad early on and it ate into my time, but oh well. What can you do, right? Thinking about what else I actually got to play there. I didn't get to play much of what I hadn't already played. Like, I did play the Splatoon demo a couple of times, mainly for the swag, to be honest.
Squid Squad.
They had like this
T-shirt.
They had like this. Yeah, they had a T-shirt
Visor,
and the
didn't they?
Splatoon hat.
Yeah.
It was like a baseball cap that was modeled after something in the game, like an actual hat in the game. So I was super pumped about that, and I was like, oh man, I really want those. Never did get the T-shirt, unfortunately, but it was still a fun experience to try getting a little bit more in depth with it. And I believe Salmon Run was also playable at E3 too, but I was never able to get my hands on that portion of it, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, other than that, I did play Mario and Rabbids as well. I was extremely surprised at it because I wasn't planning on playing Mario and Rabbids while I was there because I wasn't interested in it. Honestly, I'm gonna be straight up with you that I just completely had zero interest in that game. I was like, oh, that looks stupid. I was just kind of blowing it off a little bit. I was like, whatever. I have other things I can spend my time on. But it was the last day of E3, and I had about an hour before the hall closed, and it was the very last line that I could actually hop into, and it was so last minute that the guy at the end of the line just kind of gave me a look, and he was like, okay, we can fit you in there. And I was the last person in the last line to play Mario and Rabbids. And then I just kind of stood around and I was waiting for it, and when I actually played it, it was surprisingly fun. I was definitely surprised at like how deep the strategy in it seems, and how it kind of intertwines as half an adventure game and half a tactical RPG. It was super interesting, and I had a lot of fun with planning out where everyone was going and like what to shoot, what not to shoot. And I've never played XCOM before, for the record, so I don't know how it compares with that game. I just know that it has a similar playstyle. But as someone who's never played XCOM and not knowing like how deep into strategy that game gets, this one was still fairly challenging and fairly deep in how you could move around, and I was especially impressed with the mobility. Because with tactical RPGs, I'm so used to being really restricted in the ways that I can move and the places that I can go to, and having it kind of laid out brick by brick, you know? But in Mario and Rabbids, I felt a lot more free to do a lot more things because of the function of throwing your party members, which is really strange, but I liked it.
That's actually the main difference from XCOM, basically. Well, apart from the fact that it's cutesy and has rabbits in it, the main difference combat-wise seems to be there's a huge focus on mobility. You can actually like go across the map because there's pipes and things around the place, and you might go through a pipe during your turn, and it will take you around to the other side of the map. So there's just there's a big focus on mobility.
I was particularly impressed when I was trying to move my character. I forget which one, of course, but I was trying to move a character to a specific place, and I was going around the long way. And one of the attendants at the demo kiosk kind of looked over, and he was like, "You realize you could throw your character straight up there, right?" And it was like this huge wall. It was this gigantic wall that I didn't even see the top of when I first looked at the screen, and I was like, "What?" And I took I think it was Luigi Rabbit, and I had Peach Rabbit throw him up this gigantic plateau all the way to the top, and I was like, "Wow, you can really throw people far in this thing." So it definitely. I'm glad that there is a big focus on mobility, because it feels very free and very non-restrictive.
I guess we can move on a little bit. I kind of wanted to talk about.
Alright, does Sefazon not get a turn?
Ah, yes. My experience.
Wait.
Yeah, the game. Right.
What games? I thought you already. Wow.
Oh man.
Yeah.
No longer.
So this
Seth,
is the
you
no
don't get a
Sefazon.
turn.
Yeah,
This is the no Sefazon zone.
Yeah.
No Sefazon. All right. So E3. You know what? I want to point out. Thinking about this conceptually, I was thinking about when Cody mentioned, and Masay was discussing the Mario Brothers-esque gameplay present in Odyssey when you go into the walls and whatnot. Although I know a lot of people say it's reminiscent of A Link Between Worlds, I think conceptually it would have made sense to have that in Super Mario Sunshine with the paintbrush. You can have Shadow Mario having painted that on the wall, but again, that's a story for another time. I thought that would have been a cool concept after I played it, though. But the first 2 days for me were mostly spent just wandering around meeting people and networking more so than playing games. Usually, I don't traditionally play demos at E3. The only time I usually do that is if I go into the VIP section or if I'm invited with somebody or something like that. However, on the last day, I was able to get into those booths and play really everything from Nintendo. I enjoyed Super Mario Odyssey. I think my favorite aspect of that is the aesthetics, if that makes sense. I know there were a few people who were sort of on the fence about humans actually appearing in Mario. I know what a twist that is. But aesthetically, it's really nice. They're all kind of in business attire, and they all sort of, it has that kind of jazz theme, so I think it really works aesthetically in terms of music and visuals. The gameplay it's unique enough to be, that new Mario game. It has that new Mario feel. I never really felt that with 3D World, especially coming off of 3D Land for the 3DS. It never really felt unique in terms of gameplay, especially, as I said, coming off of 3D Land. But this feels really new and really solid, and I'm really happy to see where they're going to take it in the future. Played a bit of Pokken. Not really. It's a good game, just not for me. And again, that goes into Splatoon 2 as well. Great game. I love Splatoon, but cannot play it for the life of me. So...
Sinner!
I know. Hey, I've tried playing Masay, I think, in Splatoon. It did not go well. For her, of course. I destroyed... No, she thoroughly thrashed me.
I played Masay in Splatoon once on a stream of hers, and I broke everything.
I was swimming with the fishes.
You broke my chat!
But it was a pretty incredible experience, I would say. I'm not squidding you, but... Aside from that, I'm thinking, what else? You know what? I want to go ahead and say, not what I played, but what was missing from E3 that I would have loved to see. I will say, although the obvious is Samus Returns and Metroid Prime 4, which I am just absolutely ecstatic about. I don't even think we have enough time in the world for me to get into that. I would say this is actually a fact that people don't really know, and I asked about this to several friends at E3, what they thought my favorite game franchise was. I got a few people saying Pokemon, a few people saying Zelda or Final Fantasy. Kirby is my favorite video game franchise. And I was sort of disappointed we didn't see any of the new Kirby games on the show floor at E3. From what it looks like, my theory is it sort of looks like a full remake of Superstar. I know we got a port of it, Superstar Ultra on the DS, but from the map screen, it might be a remake. I don't know. That's just my small theory from what I saw. Would have loved to see that. Another game by Vanillaware, published by Atlas and Sega, was 13 Sentinels. I'm really interested in that game. It was announced in 2015. All we got here was a trailer that I guess was already shown at a Japan exclusive event in Japan, so interesting to see where that's going to go as well. Right. I saw a few games from Microsoft and Sony. Nothing terribly interesting to me. Looked like great stuff. I know Shadow of the Colossus remake is a big deal for me, though. But other than that, for Nintendo, ARMS is sort of an interesting concept. I know it was released literally the day following E3. I had the opportunity to play it a bit before that with some other brand ambassadors, but it never really... It reminds me of Splatoon, and it's a new IP, new concept, and it's a great, enjoyable fun. It just feels, compared to Splatoon, very rigid. It doesn't feel as if there's much more to it. After you beat the game, you're sort of just done. Whereas Splatoon, it's a wide multiplayer game. You have 8 people at once versus ARMS, which is just 2 people at once. Or 4 people, I believe, if you have the 2-on-2, if I'm not mistaken. But that's just not enough to keep me interested. I'm very happy, though, to see EA support the Switch. I know a lot of people, EA, what do you know, Nintendo? It's really good to see third-party support, and seeing EA on board, that's probably the most difficult third-party supporter to get on Nintendo recently. So to see them on board for now, it's a great start. The Switch obviously is selling hundreds of thousands of units worldwide already, so great to see that. But that's really all I have on E3 itself at the show floor.
I mean, I definitely agree with you with the EA thing there. I think a lot of third-party developers may have mentioned, especially before the Switch came out, that, we're looking into it, we're developing stuff, maybe not, their best forerunners are being developed for the Switch, but I think after seeing the sales numbers, you're going to start to see a lot more third-party developers looking at it more seriously. And having EA as one of those development partners is a pretty big deal, especially in comparison to the Wii U's release. Especially
coming off the Wii U's, the Wii U, you can love it, you can hate it, and nobody can deny that the marketing and the third-party support of it was essentially non-existent or not in the way that we had hoped. So to see the Switch do so much better is great hope for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, the Switch... I'm already sold on the Switch because I had a 14-hour flight on the way here. So just being able to take a console Zelda game, with me on a plane is it's just great.
Plain and simple, it's just great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanted to go into, I think the next topic was in regards to meeting people, I think it was?
Yes, I do believe before I so rudely interrupted you, we were going to talk about that.
No worries.
And actually, you can be the first person to start because you were
already
mentioning it.
We'll forget Cody next time. No,
I'll always forget Cody.
So, as I've already said, E3 is more about the people and their experiences for me. Obviously, being able to see great people such as Cody Davies and Masaya Nella, always just an absolute pleasure. I only get to see Cody once or twice every other year, which, to be honest, is probably enough for him to see me. So, and other friends, obviously I already mentioned Yoshiller. Great people all around. It's just great to see E3 and to have that more industry feel of everybody, and anybody you don't know you want to meet. And I really enjoyed that a lot at E3. Obviously, seeing Chugga, seeing Gerard, all these great people. I did have the opportunity this year to meet Bill Trinan in the VIP area for Nintendo. And this may come as a surprise, but I look up to Bill Trinan probably about the most in the industry. I looked up to Iwata absolutely beyond all measure. And Bill Trinan and Junichi Masuda are right behind him. Absolutely love all the work he's ever done. I really would find myself a success just to be able to work alongside him someday. So to be able to meet him was very nerve-wracking, I would say. I did admittedly have a copy of AM2R, a developer copy of AM2R on me when I met him. Quietly kept that put away, I would add.
I noticed you were parading it around otherwise.
Oh, yes. I would have liked, if there were anybody who I wanted to sign it, it would have been Sakamoto, but I don't think that would have gone over too well either. I'm not a fool. But no, Bill Trinan, absolutely a pleasure to meet. A great man all around. He's probably the person I enjoyed meeting the most at E3 this year.
Cody, before I forget about you, would you like to go next?
Oh yeah, well, I met some great people like Masayanella and Sefazon. And yeah, and there are a couple of new.
Patricia Somerset.
Oh yeah, so yeah, we met a couple of voice actors from the Breath of the Wild. So that Patricia Somerset and Bill Rogers, who are the princess and the king respectively in Breath of the Wild. And he seemed to love it, having people who enjoyed it, because we talked to him for a while and about, you know, his voice acting, because he's the king of Hyrule, but yeah, he was also Brock. He's also the voice of like 70 of the Pokemon. Well, I met a bunch of people this year who we've sort of talked to online, but I hadn't met in person before. And there was a couple of random celebrity sightings when I went to the Nintendo booth, which is to say, Kimishima, the current president, was just walking past. I didn't get to meet him, but I recognized him, and I was like, oh, that's the new president. And also, Tim Schafer was in the Nintendo booth, the creator of old adventure games, Secret of Monkey Island, Double Fine Productions. So that was wasn't who I expected to meet in the Nintendo booth, but it's always fun to see developers and that sort of thing running around. Sometimes you just see a wild Reggie, you know, just a Reggie in the wild stomping through. It's very easy to notice Reggie because he's like 12 feet tall and has a commanding presence and just stomps his way through everything.
He could easily be mistaken for a bouncer. Like he is his own security. I wouldn't want to mess with Reggie.
Oh, and we also met Bowser. Doug Bowser,
marketing.
in fact, who works at Nintendo and has a very good name for working at Nintendo. We just met him at the start of the first day. Actually, we went into the Nintendo area. And we joined what we assumed could be a line. And then we were like, is this a line? And he was walking past and he was like, no, I don't think that's the line. I'll go and check. And it turns out it was the line. It's just that it wasn't a real line because it was a blob instead of a line.
MSA, what about you? Did you also get to meet Cody and Sefazon?
I mean, I guess I met some pretty unsavory type folk there, you know.
I saw you a month ago, though, so...
Unsavory type folk.
Doesn't change her opinions one bit.
No. She made me a trophy for the sleep verses, though, so she has to, you know...
I'm kidding.
It's a compliment, because if you're not savory, then you must be sweet. Oh.
Okay, we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Oh, man. No need to be bitter about it. It's gonna leave a sour taste in my mouth.
I was about to turn around and then be like, oh my god, no, but it was actually really great hanging out with you guys, but it's getting further and further away, so. But no, seriously, it was...
So who did you meet?
It actually was a blast. I did hang out with really great people. Seth, Cody, and definitely a good chunk with Yoshiller as well. And a lot of the people from Zelda Universe, I got to see a bunch of them again, and it was really great to just hang out and see everyone, because a lot of these guys I don't get to see except for at E3. Like Cody, I barely see you.
Right, I wasn't there
Cody,
last year,
I only
so it's
see
been
basically.
It's been 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It was PAX Prime 2015.
Yeah. So it's always great to see the people that I personally know and that I just really enjoy being around, and it's always a good time. As much as I wrinkle my nose and I'm like, ugh, these people. I actually have a lot of fun, and it's always a joy, especially when we're all just in a big group in person and Seth is distracted from me. But anyway, as for like meeting people at E3 that are like, oh wow, you know the type. I feel like I had more opportunities in previous years in comparison to this year. I'm not sure if that's because of how hectic it was, or that I just had like not quite as on timing as I did before. But last year I felt like a freaking rock star with a few things that happened. But this year my highlight was definitely huge thanks to Zelda Universe and Alex and Cody, especially Alex Trevino, because I was basically just minding my own business, and then I get this ping on Twitter, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to meet the voice of Zelda?" I'm like, "Oh, well, shoot." And I basically just like ran right over to that Nintendo booth, and I was like, "Hello, I'm here." Literally like 5 minutes later.
Where's Zelda?
Where is she? It was actually really great, and it was totally worth it. I'm so thankful that you guys thought to extend the offer to me, because that Zelda Universe definitely did not have to do that, and Alex definitely did not have to tweet to me and be like, "Hey, come over here." So I'm super grateful and thankful for that opportunity, because otherwise I would never have known, and I never would have even like made the connection in my head. It was actually really funny, because when I went there, I was only expecting Patricia Somerset, because that was what I had mentioned and what we talked about, and we were talking about it beforehand. And then Bill Rogers walks up, and he just seems like this really super chill dude, just like, "Hey, how's it going?" And really loud, really funny, and he just walks up, and everyone's like making a circle around him, and everyone's making introductions, and I'm standing there like really like, "Oh, okay, who's this dude?"
Oh yeah.
I felt really bad.
I think, didn't you have an introduction where you were like, "Oh, hi, I'm Bill."
Yeah.
"Oh, hi, I'm Miss A," and neither of you knew who the other one was. It was great.
No, that's not what happened. I was basically way far in the back, because I'm an awkward turtle and I had no idea who he was. So I was like, "Oh, okay, sure." He basically like peered over and stared at me like super expectantly, and I felt really awkward, because I was like, I had to reach over people to shake his hand. And I'm like, "Oh, hi, I'm hiding." And he's like, "Hi, nice to meet you, hiding." And
I'm Dad!
God damn it, of course. It
Yeah.
seems natural
Yeah.
that he would make a dad joke.
I mean, he is the voice of
I
Brock.
wanted to just I wanted to curl in a ball and die, and then like 5 minutes later, he's talking to everyone, and I'm like talking to him. We're all just like cracking jokes and like just discussing E3 and stuff like that. And then I start noticing that people start talking about like voice acting, and he's like really talking about the biz, and I'm like, "Oh, wait, excuse me, but
Excuse me, who are you?"
What did you voice?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm the king." And I didn't hear him at first, so I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I'm the king." I'm like, "Oh." And then suddenly it all clicked, and then he just looked at me, stared me straight in the eyes, just dead in the eyes, and laughed. And I died inside. And
And pointed at me.
And he said,
and told
"Oh,
everyone else to laugh.
my
Yep.
boy."
That is exactly how it
My
went.
boy.
My boy.
After I finished chatting with Bill Rogers, I actually started chatting with Patricia a little bit more, and we talked a lot actually about just E3 and experiences traveling and things along that nature. And then somewhere along the line in the conversation, I was just about to leave, head out to grab some dinner and stuff like that, or lunch as the time might have been at the time. But it was actually pretty crazy because I grabbed a quick selfie with her and I was like, okay, I don't usually do the selfie thing, but this would be pretty cool. So I did the selfie thing, and then as I was leaving, I just kind of we started briefly talking about Breath of the Wild right towards the very end, and then we talked about like playtime hours, and I just an offhand comment, I was like, oh yeah, my mom has like over 800 hours in Breath of the Wild. And she completely freaked out. She just she stared at me for like 5 flat seconds, and she was like, what? She was like, are you serious? Are you for real? I was like, yes. And she's like, can I take a video of you saying that? And I was like, oh my god. And so she whips out her phone, takes this video, and she like does the selfie thing, and she's like, this girl's mom played 800 hours on Breath of the Wild, and I was like freaking out inside, and I was like, oh my god, this is actually happening right now. What is life?
Mom has 800 hours on Breath of the Wild clock, so 100 hours on Breath of the Wild. She's impressive.
It was a good selfie because I was in it.
You were.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I saw that. I'm thinking, what, Cody? Why?
You were in it. You made it 10 times better. Don't worry about it. It is A-okay.
Yeah. You've been Cody zoned.
Oh my
geez.
god. It was really funny though, because after like Patricia posted it to her Twitter, and I freaked out and I was like, oh my god. And so I shared it with one of my friends, and he watched it, and the first thing that he said was, that guy in the back has no chill. That was the first thing he said, and I was like, oh, that's Cody.
There's never any chill in the Cody zone.
The Cody zone's warm.
But yeah,
A lot of pressure.
that was definitely my like big highlight of E3 this year, was just that moment and that like span of events, and I was like, oh my god, wow.